Good morning. I am the president of the Universal Vision for Africa Development and also the captain of the Church Intelligence Agency. Recently, I got an opportunity to speak with the man who was chosen by God in 2014 to succeed President Robert Gabriel Mugabe as the head of state over the Republic of Zimbabwe. So I asked the man if he was now willing to lead the Zimbabwean nation, and he said he was willing, and he also shared with me some of his development plans for the state of Zimbabwe, which I am going to share with you. Now I'm going to play an audio of him who is going to be president over the country of Zimbabwe. His name is Richard Madzima, that is the chosen president over the country of Zimbabwe, God's president over the nation of Zimbabwe, President Richard Madzima of the Republic of Zimbabwe, the God-chosen leader. He's going to share with us some of his development plans for the state of Zimbabwe, and we will see their impact on the African continent.
Sadaro. Mfana wangu anezeka kati udakutra kudii hadzi mapurezidendi baba hausi kuziya zviri kuitika mfana wangu, nzwisisa mfana wangu, hanzi mapurezidendi. Ndangotero hangu for 2 minutes hangu handisati ndanyasofamba nebhora ndatonzwa kuti zvii zviri kumboitika, kuti chii chiri kunetsa, tsvagai mabasa, mirai kuchera.
Good morning, Zimbabwe. My name is Richard Madzima. During President Robert Gabriel Mugabe's presidency, I was chosen by God the Father to succeed him as the head of state of the Republic of Zimbabwe because he was no longer able to carry out his leadership responsibilities due to old age. And in the spirit realm, God took me to the Zimbabwean State House. When I got inside, I saw that the place was full of cobwebs and heavy dust, which showed that the building had been abandoned for a very long time. And there in the spirit, God anointed me with the spirit of leadership, and he set me on a golden throne which was in the sky, suspended in the air far above ground. And he told me over and over again that he had chosen me to lead the Republic of Zimbabwe in place of President Robert Gabriel Mugabe. God's message to me was very, very clear. He wanted me to be not just a president over the state of Zimbabwe, but he wanted me to be more like a king. As for me, I was content in living an ordinary life, minding my own business, and I was against this God's plan of making me president over the Republic of Zimbabwe because it was going to come with too many responsibilities, and also this leadership position required me to lead the armed forces, and it was going to put me on a global stage. It was going to expose me to global publicity, and that's something I didn't like. But God made a promise to me. He vowed to me, he made a vow that surely he was going to make me the head of state over the Republic of Zimbabwe. And deep inside my heart, deep inside me, I knew that I had to lead my country. I felt it. I felt the burden of this responsibility I was given by God over my country. I felt it. I felt that if I don't do it, nobody else is gonna do it. Nobody else is gonna fit, is gonna be able to replace me. Finally, I realized that leading my country is the main reason why God brought me into this world. Therefore, I willingly accepted my calling of governing my country, and they have decided to let my countrymen, my country, people know that God desires to rule over them through me. And it is up to them to vote for me as President of the Republic of Zimbabwe. Now I'm going to share with you some of the development plans I have for the state of Zimbabwe as President. These development plans are mainly focused on reviving the Zimbabwean economy and creating employment and developing the country and its people. My first development plan is creating employment. Creating employment for all Zimbabweans is one of my major concerns because I see that many Zimbabweans are in desperate need of a means of survival. That is why they are going all over the world to look for jobs. In ancient times, during the Stone Age period, people used to make a living out of hunting animals and gathering fruits for food. But nowadays, in organized civilization, people need employment as a means of survival so that they can buy food and pay their bills. The population of the Zimbabwean nation is divided into three classes. We have got the rich, the average, and the poor. The percentage of the poor people of the country is bigger than that of the rich and the average combined. So I intend to build or to create massive employment for the majority of the poor class of the country. And when there is too much employment for the poor, there will always be more jobs for the rich and the average class. Here are some of the realistic ways I am going to use to create employment for all Zimbabweans. Way number one is creating employment through agriculture. Many thanks to President Robert Gabriel Mugabe, we've got the land. My government is going to invest heavily in buying equipment and machinery for commercial farming. We also build dams in order to do the farming even during the summer. Me and my government, we are going to minimize the use of machinery on farms so that the farms can employ as many people as possible. The main purpose of these farms will be to create employment for Zimbabweans and to produce raw materials which will be used to make goods in factories. Way number two is creating employment through creation of industries. As President of the Republic of Zimbabwe, I am going to maximize the potential and efficiency of the current industries. I'm also going to build more new industries in all provinces of the country. The main purpose of these industries will be to create massive employment for Zimbabweans and also to process the country's raw materials into finished goods. These goods will be sold locally and some will be exported. These industries of my government will not be aiming at making big profits, but at creating employment, so they will minimize the use of robots and machines in order to have more jobs for people. Way number three is creating employment through development. Zimbabwe is a developing country, but I have got a vision of turning it into a developed country, and it's going to take time, a lot of time and a lot of work for many years, and that work is going to create employment for people for many years. I am going to develop the country by renovating existing infrastructure and building new and modern towns, roads, hospitals, stadiums, resorts, prisons, railways, clinics, museums, schools, bridges, dams, hotels, airports, banks, churches, social buildings, commercial buildings, government buildings, and city libraries, among the others. In order to carry out all these development projects I have in mind for my country, Zimbabwe, I will create more construction companies in every province of the country. And those construction companies will employ too many people. Way number 4 is creating employment through recruiting public servants or government workers. The Zimbabwean country is for Zimbabweans and it should be governed by Zimbabweans. Therefore, as another way of creating more massive employment, I will recruit to the maximum possible number of government workers such as soldiers, law enforcement officers, correctional officers, teachers, nurses, doctors, municipal officers, firefighters, judges, and lawyers, among the others. Way number 5 is creating employment through sports. As a government, I will also find ways to ensure that people will be able to make a living out of sports such as soccer, volleyball, basketball, tennis, cricket, car racing, horse racing, bike racing, badminton, gymnastics, golf, wrestling, boxing, hockey, yoga, karate, rugby, baseball, among the others. Way number 6 is creating employment through entrepreneurship. As a government, I will also support entrepreneurs such as authors and inventors, for example, with free information and loans which will enable them to experiment with their ideas. Way number 7 is creating employment through entertainment. I will build entertainment industries throughout all the provinces of the country, and I will support and monitor their progress in order to create more employment for entertainers. I will also build a national organization which will be responsible for searching for talented or gifted people throughout the country, and I will refine those people so that they can spread the Zimbabwean fame and glory beyond the borders of the African continent. This organization will have branches in every city of the country, and it will also hold Zimsco talent shows, a show which is aimed at looking for people who are talented. My second development plan is solving the national currency and sanctions problem. The Zimbabwean currency is very weak and it is also contributing to the economic instability in the country. I will introduce a new Zimbabwean dollar, a new Zimbabwean currency which is strong in value and which is reliable. I will also ask the countries which imposed sanctions on Zimbabwe to remove or terminate those sanctions. My third development plan is introducing government grants which are aiming at helping the needy of the country, contributing to economic stability. My government will provide the following grants. The first is the War Veterans Grant for former soldiers who are unable to support themselves. And the Child Support Grant for primary caregivers of a child under the age of 18 from low-income households who need financial assistance to take good care of the child. And then the Older Persons Grant for all Zimbabwean people over the age of 60 who need financial assistance. And then the Care Dependence Grant for primary caregivers of any person who requires full-time care due to mental or physical disability. Then the Foster Child Grant for a foster parent of a child under the age of 18. And then the Disability Grant for people with a mental or a physical disability who cannot afford to support themselves. And then the General Grant for Zimbabwean citizens, refugees, asylum seekers, and special permit holders who do not have sufficient means to support themselves. My fourth development plan is to provide free public transport for children under the age of 12 and for old people over the age of 60 and for uniformed police officers and soldiers, and also for all disabled people. My fifth development plan is providing free education for primary and secondary students who cannot afford to pay for their school fees. Government loans for school fees will be given to those who cannot afford to pay for university or college, and they will pay back when they start working. My sixth development plan is providing free medical services for all Zimbabweans, or for all people in Zimbabwe. That means you go to a hospital or to a clinic for free treatments, free medicine, free operations, everything free.